Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. The live classes by BOS for strategic management. We are back on Saturday morning with almost the technically last class for us where we complete a syllabus. And tomorrow's going to be the last class where we talk about questions and exams and your doubts and revise the entire syllabus, all the 5 chapters, all the big 5 chapters. And I see a lot of you have already joined. Good to see so many people in the morning. Hey, Anamika, Ravina. Ravina, I saw your question. Let me answer that as well. Hey, Kiran, Nikita, Vishali, Dikshan, Shankar, Ramnivas, Sushil is there. Hi, Akif. Hey, Santika, Gaurav, Ajay, Parth. Dikshan has a capital good morning. Good morning to you as well. Cool, Devraj is there. Lokesh, Avni. I hope we have a great day, right? Saturday. आज तो सोएंगे आज बढ़िया सोएंगे. We have already woken up so early in the morning. आज after the class we all will sleep for 3-4 hours. Martin, Anamika morning. So many emojis. It's cold at your place. Like it's very cold. I live as well in Delhi. So that's why you see a jacket. Hey Kadamri Mansi, very good morning. Great. So Ravina had a question. She says this is her first class live. All the classes have been recorded, what she's been seeing. Ravina, you've been too late. You should have joined us so early. We have been doing like what 10, 12 classes. But no problem. Your question is the difference between industry and market. Very simple. Market is actually it's a collation, it's a collection of all the people who have the potential to buy your product, the potential customers come together. That's called a market. Industry is when all the businesses and companies who are doing almost the same business are grouped together. We call it as industry. Like, for example, food industry, McDonald's, Domino's, KFC, all of this will come under fast food industry. Okay, H&M, Zara, and all your clothes, West Side, Pantaloons, all these brands would come under clothing or apparel industry or retail industry. Okay, so all the businesses which are almost the same group together are called industry. Market is basically all grouping of all the potential customers together is called marketing. Okay, ji? Very nice. I am good, Priyanka and Mansi. Thanks for asking. Hope you guys are doing well too. We are just left with like 20 more pages of chapter 5. Okay, how I have planned today is we will complete chapter 5. We will for sure. I think in the next 1.5, 2 hours, we will complete. Where the time which will be left with us today, we will do 2 case scenarios. I have prepared fresh 2 case scenarios for you. We will practice that with questions and how to read a case. Tomorrow, which is our last class, okay, tomorrow is our last class. What are we going to do is we are going to run through the entire study material, all the 5 chapters, a marathon revision. Okay, so I would really suggest that you guys go and revise today as much as you can, because tomorrow is going to be your last chance to ask questions to me live. Otherwise, you can send your questions over the email ID of BOS as well. But in case you have any questions, any doubts, it'll be good if you revise today and have all your questions answered tomorrow. When we are revising the syllabus, I will also bring some interesting questions for you tomorrow and 2 cases today. So we have a lot of practice to be happening in today and tomorrow. Okay, so next 5 hours with me are going to be a lot about practice and revision. And with that, let's start with where we left off in the last session. We were talking about organizational structures in chapter 5, which is all about implementation and control of strategy. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all about brainstorming and figuring out a strategy, what suits best for the business. Chapter 5 talks about real implementation, real execution of the strategy, the kind of challenges that come, the kind of change management you have to do, the kind of changes that come. How does a business leader actually go about bringing that change in terms of your structure, in terms of your ideas, in terms of your people management, in terms of the new systems, in terms of the new technology, the digital transformation, right? This is what chapter 5 has been talking about. In the last session, we were talking about organizational structures. We talked about simple, functional, divisional, and we ended our discussion last class at matrix structure, wherein we were talking about how is a matrix structure the most complex one. And the new thing that has come up is basically SBU. So matrix structure is now redundant. It's not majority of the companies which were on matrix structure have now moved to SBU structure, which is strategic business unit, which is an essential, a separate CEO, separate strategy. Why? Because their competitors are separate, their products are separate, and SBUs are formed by figuring out the products and businesses based on their scientific nature. Be it can be process of making, it can be customers, it can be the usage of the product, right? The SBUs are created separately, like we were talking about ketchup, jam, and all the cheese spread and pizza spread, all of that for a company would come under one SBU. Now, this company makes, let's say, a toothpaste, a toothbrush, a dant manjan, or whatever it is making. All of that comes under the daily usage thing. Detergents, soaps, shampoos, all of that come under cleaning SBU. So these are scientifically used for the same thing, essentially. So all these products can be put under one SBU, and that SBU is headed by one CEO, which has its own strategy, its own functional team, pricing team, all of that. Okay. Great, my health is fine. The throat keeps on uh, being an issue for me, so that's fine. I have my tea with me, so should be fine. Okay, so matrix structure we were talking about. We talked about what a matrix structure is. Now, one thing which is important to understand is when a company, when a business moves from old design to a new design, when a company moves from old design to a new design, what are the kind of changes, what are the kind of things it will experience as an organization, as a business? Number one, there would be one large corporation. If you look at the old thing, a company which has an old structure, they will have one large organization feel. We are one big company, we are one big family. The new organizational designs are essentially based on mini business units and cooperative relationships. It's like it's like mini businesses all headed by different heads, and they cooperate between each other. So all of the things are collated for the head office. All the mini businesses work together in their own capacity, and then they're collated together to form a one big company, right? That is how the new ways of doing things is. There was vertical communication, that boss tells the subordinate, subordinate talks to the lower person talks to the lowest person, and the lowest person, if has to talk to the top management, they have to go to the manager, to senior manager, to this, to this, to this. Take a level of communication. It's vertical, upwards or downwards. In new organizational design, it's horizontal, right? Because they're mini businesses. When there are multiple business units, different businesses, what happens is it happens in a horizontal way. This business talks to that business talks to this business. Horizontal communication hota hai. Instead of a vertical thing, more horizontal, so that more collaborative. When you're talking to people around you, it's more collaborative, rather than when you start talking to people above you to take permissions and approvals. That's not collaborative, that's authoritative. आपको सिर्फ approval चाहिए. You're just asking and requesting for things. You're not talking about how to do things. You can only talk about how to do things with your peers, with your friends, with your horizontally equal organizational people, right? So in horizontal relationship, in mini businesses, horizontal communication happens, right? Absolutely, Raj. Happy to see you. Your face makes my day, which I cannot see. All right, so centralized top-down decision making. Now there is decentralized. So everyone participates in the decision making in the new forms of business. Vertical integration, outsourcing, and virtual organizations. We are going to talk about this. Outsourcing and virtual organization is the future of organizational structures where companies do not really do anything within the organization. They give out contracts and projects to people outside. They do outsourcing, they do virtual organizational structure. Okay. What this means is people or companies do not really want to work or be burdened by a lot of internal processes. They do not want to be burdened by a lot of processes which happen within the company. What they try to do is they say, listen, I have a process, I have a particular thing to do. If I hire 20 people for it, I will have to be liable to a lot of things. I will have to pay their PPF, legal, then chuttis and work. And if I have to downsize the project, if I have to take away the project or remove this thing, if this thing doesn't work, then I will have to, right? Then I will have to probably say goodbye to these people. There will be layoffs. When there are layoffs, people then can sue the company. There can be legal notices. There can be brand image problems. So what they do is they do virtual and outsourcing organizations where they give out their process on a contract. Now, if this doesn't work, they just end the contract with the outsourcing partner. Okay, companies like EY, KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, Genpact, okay, Accenture, Wipro, Infosys, TCS. All of these companies are billion and billion dollars of company because these are outsourcing companies. They take projects, they take processes from existing companies and they work on contract for them. For example, you're a chartered accountant and you work in, let's say, any of the big fours, okay, a PwC, a KPMG, EY, or a Deloitte, or even for that matter, Genpact or Accenture or Capgemini, whichever company you're working as a chartered accountant. What these companies do is they get a project. Let's say they get a project from Coca-Cola or PepsiCo. Let's say they get a project from Coca-Cola that Coca-Cola says, listen, I have 17,000 transactions every day just for payment of vendors. My sub vendors are to be paid every day. People who are giving me bottles and water and stickers and this and that, everything is based on a vendor. And I have to pay these vendors every single day, 17,000 transactions every day. My existing team, if I will have to keep 50 people to manage this. Okay. So they go to these companies and they say, listen, I want my vendor payment process to be taken up by you. You do the vendor payment process for me in India. So now all these companies go and bid. They start bidding कि we will do this contract for 5 crore rupees annual charges. Genpact says हम 4 करोड़ में कर देंगे. Deloitte says हम तो 8 करोड़ रुपए लेंगे बट हम क्वालिटी देंगे. EY says हम तो 7 करोड़ लेंगे और हम उससे Deloitte से भी better quality देंगे. Okay, so these companies then go and bid for these processes. You, as a chartered accountant working in these companies, will be part of such projects. Okay. Let's say somebody working in any big four says, I am on a Coca-Cola project for next 1.5 year. It could be anything. It could be vendor payment project, process flow. It could be accounting. It could be US GAAP formation. It could be internal audit. It could be any strategy, any kind of an audit internal on a process. It can be P2P payment to procurement. It can be vendor payment. It can be receives. आपका account receivables का process हो सकता है because these companies are huge. They have so many transactions. They need a lot of people to work for them. So these are outsourcing and virtual organizations which are essentially taking away a lot of work and process from existing big companies. Okay. And the benefit to both the companies is This company gets an experience of hundreds of industries. And the company which is outsourcing its process, it says like, boss, it's so easy for me to manage. If they're not working properly, I can change the outro. I can move from Deloitte to EY the next year. Then I can move to next company the next year, right? I can negotiate the prices. I can downsize the project. If tomorrow Coca-Cola says my transactions have reduced from 17,000 to just 10,000, okay? They will say next year that I want to revise my contract because the work is not so much now. The work is half, so my kharcha will also be half. But had I kept 50 people, I would have not been able to say goodbye to them. It's not easy to lay off people in an organization, right? So outsourcing and virtual organizations have been here for the last decade and doing massive business. And in the coming years, it's going to be huge. Think about this. I'm just giving you, okay, I'm just giving you an idea for the future, maybe as a chartered accountant or as an entrepreneur. Okay, it's going to be huge because many small companies, many small businesses still do not outsource. And if you can start a company, if you can start a business where you outsource these processes, these works for small businesses, you would see around so many shops in the mall, any wholesaler in your area. All of these people, if you start taking their, let's say, very basic accounting, very basic banking, very basic data management, right? It can be massive. And you just charge what? Like you say, just give me 15, 20,000 per month, give me 2 lakh rupees contract on an annual basis, and I will give you data insights. I will take data from you, which customer buys from where, does what, and build a strategy for you. I am great at strategy. I know the strategy. I can work on the demographics, what we are studying right now, okay? And I can build some scenarios for you and you take the decision for your business. And I will just charge a very minimal retainership fee with you. Or you take up any process that you feel they are struggling with. Go and talk to them. What kind of a process in your business are you struggling with? They will say, my vendor management is very difficult. I'm not able to keep track of my stock. My stock management is very poor. I'm not able to do this. I'm not able, I'm figuring out ये कैसे होता है, वो कैसे होता है. Help them and you become the small EY or small Deloitte. And there's massive, massive money in India. Okay. It's going to be huge. A lot of these companies or a lot of these businesses do not have access to all these. Like somebody having a sari bhandar or let's say a big wholesale shop in your area, atta chawal, very basic, right? A very big shop, but it does crores of business, but it doesn't have access to an EY or a Deloitte. And even EY and Deloitte do not want to entertain this because they have big contracts with bigger companies. They are focusing on those bigger companies. So this is where you can come as a mediocre consultant, as a new age MSME consultant, and take away so much of business, right? And you can hire 10 people and you can get 100 clients. You can make 10, 15 crore rupees, right? It's just about sales. It's just about figuring out what you want to do. And this is why the change of organizational structures, the future of organizational structures, strategy implementation, cost cutting, cost efficiency, becoming a cost leader in the future. That's what the businesses are strategizing. And this is where you come up as somebody who can support those strategies. Okay, cool. What's the difference between decentralization and delegation? Decentralization is basically everybody gets involved in decision making. It's called decentralization. Let's say if there's something happening in your house and not just your parents are taking the decision, but they ask you, they ask your brother or sister, they ask some external relatives as well. They ask everybody, what do you think, what should we do? This is decentralized. They are decentralizing, they are involving everybody in the decision making. Delegation means बांटना, to give out work. Delegation means your mom says सब्जी तुम लेके आओ, फ्रूट्स आप लेके आए, कोई चॉपिंग करेगा, कोई खाना बनाएगा, कोई रोटी बनाएगा. Now this is called delegation. Your father says, your mother says, ये होगा, ऐसे होगा, ये आप करेंगे, ये आप करेंगे. You go to an office, your manager says, you will make the Excel, this person will make the presentation, and I will review. This is delegation. You do this, and I do this. Okay. So this is called delegation. And decentralization is involving everybody in decision making. Thanks, Marcy. Yeah, I'm just trying to get over my throat issues. Difference between vertical communication and horizontal. Vertical is talking to people above you and below you. Horizontal means talking to people on your sides, right? Your friends, your peers, your colleagues, other businesses. On the sides is horizontal. Talking to your managers, super managers, super bosses, CEO, CFO, or talking to your juniors. That's vertical. Okay. Others are pretty simple. Work quality teams, autonomous work teams means they work on their own, right? They are self-sufficient. Functional work teams, cross-functional work teams, minimal training, extensive training, because specialization has come into the picture. Specialized job design focused on individual value chain, team focused job design. Very important table from an exam perspective. A lot of questions can come, a lot of MCQs can come from this table. New organizational structure or design versus old organizational design, and how are they different? Okay. For development of matrix structure, Davis and Lawrence, two guys, have proposed three distinct phases. They say, see, how do you build a matrix structure essentially? They say, one, cross-functional task forces. Okay. Temporary cross-functional task forces is you start the change of making into a matrix structure as a task force, as a project. Then the cross-functional task force becomes more permanent. As the project becomes more permanent, you start scaling it up. When you start scaling it up means you start it as a small project separately, and then you start scaling it up into a matrix structure. Company kabhi bhi shuru se hi, the company does not start from matrix structure. It slowly, steadily gets into matrix structure because it's a huge change for a lot of people. So you start with certain divisions, certain areas, certain processes, certain functions, then you scale up. So cross-functional task forces, projects, brand and product management is basically scaling up those projects and mature the matrix. Once people are comfortable with the change, the things have scaled up, you tell them that this is how the future state of the company will be. This is how the company is going to be structured in the future. You mature that matrix. Three simple steps. Okay. Read it from the study material. It's an old concept, not generally asked now, but do read about it. Okay. Delegation means transfer of authority. More or so, yes. Instead of transfer, I would say division of authority. Okay. Network structure. Very interesting network structure. See, network structure क्या होता है? Network structure is basically what we were talking about, outsourcing. Certain companies, okay, have completely, we call it as asset light model, okay, which means, which means that companies do not essentially own 80% of their processes. They give out their work to people on contract, right? So that they can focus on their core area, so that they can focus on their core specialized area. Biggest example of network structure, the biggest and the most successful example of network structure is Apple. Okay. Now, Apple focuses only on designing of the product and the UI, which is user interface, how the product looks, how it will feel, how it will be, and to the user's eyes and hands and feel. वो designing के ऊपर is what Apple works on. Everything else from manufacturing to delivery to accounting to your designing to designing and the marketing, the supplier, the customer support, manufacturing, distribution, all of that is done by external people or external contractors for Apple. There's a company called Foxconn. Foxconn is a Taiwanese company. It makes iPhone, MacBooks, iPads for Apple. Apple does not own any factory. Apple has no factories. Apple has no warehouses, and yet it is one of the biggest companies in the world because it has successfully outsourced. So Apple says, Apple की balance sheet देखोगे, assets हैं ही नहीं. There are no assets, there are no liabilities. There is only and only profit and cash. Very minimal assets and liabilities. Especially the percentage you see is very minimal. Okay. Why? Because they have outsourced everything. Manufacturing, bahar kar di. Somebody else does that for them and they give it out on contract. Okay. Distribution, trucks, planes, logistics, maal idhar se udhar jana, phones being delivered across the world is being done by DHL, is being done by UBC, is being done by FedEx, being done by a lot of other logistics companies. Apple is not concerned about this. They have given out as contract. So they say we sell a phone for 1 lakh rupee, right? And we will give out these contractors as a percentage of the sales. And let's say they give out 40% to all the contractors, 10% to the manufacturer, 20 to let's say 20% to the manufacturer, 10% to this logistics, 5% to the suppliers and designers and accounting, another 5% to the customer care and UI support, whatever it is. I don't know the percentages. I'm just saying. So as a percentage, it gives out the money. What is left with them is their profit. Okay. Now, now, what happens? My question to you is, what is a big disadvantage of this structure? इस पूरे structure में it's a fantastic structure to save a lot of cost, a lot of effort, a lot of capital blockage in building assets, right? Capital तो चाहिए ही नहीं हमें ज़्यादा because I don't own any assets. I don't want to buy any assets like a factory, a manufacturing plant, raw material. कुछ लेना ही नहीं है. I've given out on contract. They will manage how they want to do that. But there is a one big disadvantage of a network structure. What is that? What do you think? Don't go by the book. Just think like a business person. What is one big problem with network structure? One big problem. Hmm. Dependency on others, no privacy, lack of control over operations. एक चीज खराब, पूरा network खराब. Less control over the business. Very nice. Secrets will be revealed. Absolutely. You guys are absolutely right, okay? The secrets will be revealed. Your business tricks, your business numbers will be revealed. You are too dependent on the people who are part of the network structure, right? You might not want to keep changing your contractors every year because it's a tough thing. Quality compromise ho jayegi. You might not want to take away the quality of your product just because the contractor changes, just because the outsourcing partner changes, right? Secure loans not issue, no control, rivalry may arise. Okay. You will have to be legally very, very careful. Now, Foxconn, Foxconn, if it makes Apple products and tomorrow Samsung comes to Foxconn and says, मेरे phone भी बनाओ. Foxconn would say, ठीक है, I can make that. I have factories, I have manufacturing plants, and I have the expertise. Why should I not make Samsung phones? Because I can make money from them as well. Why should I, as a company, not increase my revenues? Foxconn will say, I want to double my revenues. I am also a separate company, and let me take Samsung's contract as well. Now, Samsung and Apple are rivals. Same company making both the phones means it is going to be a big issue. So how do companies control that is they make legal contracts where we say non-competitive clauses, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Okay. So non-competitive agreements, NCAs, NDAs, which is non disclosure agreements that you cannot disclose my business secrets to anybody. If you do, I will sue you in the court and ask for great amounts of money, which essentially is 5x or 10x my losses. Okay. So these kind of contracts these companies get into with the outsourcing companies. Now, for example, Coca-Cola giving a vendor payment process to Deloitte, for example, or Genpact or Capgemini, whatever it is. Okay. Now, these companies will now have access to the vendor data of Coca-Cola. Now, a Deloitte will have access to all the vendor data, कौन है, क्या, what kind of sales they do, their GST number, their PAN number, their bank account number, every information the outsourcing partner will have now. They can sell this information to Pepsi and make money. They can vendor as well at a lower price or offer them better margin and take away all the business from Coca-Cola. Now, Coca-Cola might face problems there, but these big companies get into NDAs and non-competitive agreements, into very strong legal agreements कि भाई अगर if you reveal any trade secret, okay, we are going to ask for 10x, 20x, 100x the losses that happen to it. Depends. It depends on how good the lawyer is. So if let's say they reveal this data to a competitor, now what will happen is, what will happen? They will sue this company and they will say, see, because of you, I am facing losses of $3 billion of revenue. And I told you I will punish you if you do this. And I want $30 billion in compensation back. I want my 10 years of revenue back. Okay, I want this money. डिलॉयट का तो जान निकल जाएगा भाई, $30 billion कैसे दोगे. Okay, so these are big, large, tough clauses which these companies have to be very, very careful. Now, you as a chartered accountant are working in this company, and you also have access to all this data, supposedly, right? You as an article have had access to a lot of data. You as an employee will have access to a lot of data, which is confidential, which is competitively secret. How do you ensure? Now, companies have NDAs. When you get into a job, आपके job offer में ना NDA होता है. Whenever you'll get a job offer letter, उसमें आप देखना there is a clause which is non-disclosure agreement which says if you're working for this company, any secret, any data that you will reveal will have repercussions. We will sue you and ask for so much money कि आप जिंदगी भर नहीं दे पाओगे. Okay, so these are NDAs these companies get into, just like employees to the outsource partners as well. You have to secure your business from competition at the end of the day. You are becoming a cost leader. You are bringing efficiency, but not at the cost of losing your secrets to the competition. Okay, lack of direction, risk of confidentiality, dispute happens and they are dependent. Absolutely, that's what we are saying. You might want to keep your outsourcing partners happy because your business depends on them. That's how a network structure looks like. The company and all the network people around it, somebody working as a supplier, somebody accounting, somebody designing, somebody manufacturer, wherein you just focus on your core competency. You just focus on your core skill as a company. Rest everything you outsource. Okay, great. आवर ग्लास स्ट्रक्चर कुछ ऐसा दिखता है. ठीक है, दिस इज हाउ एन आवर ग्लास स्ट्रक्चर लुक्स लाइक. आवर ग्लास स्ट्रक्चर का द मोस्ट important thing to remember is the most thing to the easiest, or probably I will say a good thing to remember about hourglass structure is its startups. Okay, practicing CAs also have to sign NCA with their clients. Yes, they have to. Absolutely, you have access to their financials. their bank statements, their bank accounts, their competitive data. So yeah, you have to sign a lot of agreements when you get into contracts with your clients. Why would anybody reveal this secret to a consultant who works with the competition as well? Right? Okay. So Hourglass structure for an organization essentially just remember startups. Look at the picture on your screen. Look at the diagram on your screen and tell me, how is this talking about startups? How is this talking about what happens in startups? How are people in the organization in a startup are placed? How are people in the startup placed? Look at the hourglass diagram and tell me, what do you understand? Hourglass structure. What do you understand from this diagram? I'm giving you a hint. It's most obvious. It's the most used, commonly seen organizational structure for startups. Absolutely. Hourglass is a sand clock. Hourglass is a sand clock only. What do you understand from this diagram? Is what I'm asking. Top management works more flexibly. Okay. What else? I want all of the people who are active on the chat to answer, please. Okay. In a startup, there are few middle managers. Okay. As well as the decisions are taken by entrepreneurs or top level management. Very true. 90% of the answer is given by Vito. Top and low work more, middle do less work, not essentially and more. What it means is it's not about work or it's not about the load of work, it's about the number of people. Organizations which are new, organizations which have just started, hourglass structure happens most oftenly. Okay. Now, when the companies are new, when the companies are very fresh as an organization which is structuring itself, we see hourglass organizational structure, wherein we have a lot of people at the top management. We have a lot of people who are actually working, but very few middle level managers who are managing people. Okay. You will see that happening in a lot of organizations which are new. You pick up any new organization, you will see this, that there are too many people on the top. Vice presidents, like 28, 29-year-old vice presidents are there. CTO, Chief Technology Officer, CEO, COO, CFO, right? All the vice presidents and senior vice presidents. There's so many people at the top level, investors and all of that. In the bottom, you have a lot of engineers and teams and functional teams at the bottom. They're like 100 employees which are working, the coders, the designers, the chartered accountants, the MBAs, right? All of these people are working at the widest bottom level. But the number of managers, the number of people in the middle management who are managing these people will be 5, 6 only, each person managing 20 people. So they say, okay, five managers can manage 100 people. So five managers, 100 employees, और top पे बिठा देंगे 7, 8, 10 people on the board. Two investors, one CEO, one CTO, one CIO, one COO, one this, one vice president, one senior vice president, 10, 12 people at the top, 4, 5 people in the middle, and 100 people at the bottom. Okay. Wide at the top, narrow at the middle, and widest at the bottom. Hourglass structure. Okay. This is the number of people in this organization. It's about the number of people at each level, and it's called hourglass structure. Hourglass structure is for new companies essentially. As the company grows, the hourglass structure gets stretched and becomes a functional to a divisional to an SBU structure. Okay. An hourglass structure starts getting stretched from the middle and becomes a box. Okay. And then it turns into a functional to a divisional to an SBU depending on the need and level of the organization. ठीक है जी? Great. The benefit is reduced costs. Obviously, the costs are less because middle managers are less, which are costly people. Managers are costly people, and because you have very less managers, that means your cost is also very less as an organization. Right? Continuity at the same level may bring monotony and lack of interest, and it becomes difficult to keep the motivation levels high when a lot of these people would want to move up. Now think about this. 100 engineers would want to become managers very soon. But यहाँ पे managers ज़्यादा होते ही नहीं है. तो ये लोग छोड़ छोड़ के जाना शुरू कर देंगे. That is why a lot of people leave startups early because they do not see opportunities to grow. They say like we'll be a good engineer, engineer one, engineer two, engineer three. You go to Amazon, they're like software development SDE one, SDE two, SDE three, then senior developer, then senior developer two, senior developer three, then director. So essentially what they're doing is they're broadening the people at the bottom, very few people in the middle, and a lot of people at the top. Okay. That is how they manage their costs. That's why a lot of people leave early as well, startups and uh, like starting up companies, because they don't see great managerial growth aspirations in the company. They might have a lot of good money, they might have good work, but they do not see any managerial positions in the company. And people who want to become managers, who want to manage people, they feel कि यार मजा नहीं आ रहा. They don't feel good. People who are individual contributors who do not want to be managers, they feel really happy in startups कि यार चलो खुद ही काम करना है in isolation. I can work on that and make good money. It depends on your preference. Okay, the next topic, organization culture. The question is, okay, let me ask this question to you. Where does corporate culture come from? You tell me. You tell me, where does corporate culture come from? At bottom level, creating a good image, developing ideas, category employees according to works, like zero the bottom level and not promoting. That's true. That's true. Our next topic is organization culture. My question is, where does corporate culture come from? You tell me. Where does corporate culture come from? पहले तो होता क्या है? And where does it come from? It comes from the corporate, okay? It comes from the employees, okay? Prince and Ruturaj have answered. What about others? From top management, from top level management, work environment, from the management. The startup is a new age technology company which has just started the business. उसको बोलते हैं startup. Corporate culture comes from management. अच्छा जी, ठीक है जी. Company's ethics and values comes from vision of the company, means values, and comes from business principles. Comes from business principles. But where do principles and values come from? Hierarchy of employees, founders' values and preferences, industry demands, early values, goals, and assumptions. Very nice. Book से निकाल के कर लिया है आपने. Kadambari, you've just done from, if you've written this answers is fantastic. If you've seen from the books, then also good. कि चलो book तो पढ़ रहा है कोई. Cool. Where does corporate culture come from? A company's culture is manifested in the values and the business principles that management preaches and practices. Management preaches and practices in its ethical standards and official policies, in its stakeholder relationships, in its traditions. Organization maintains supervisory practices, employees' attitudes, behavior, in the legends people repeat about happening in the organization, and in the peer pressure that exists in the organization politics that permanently work, which is permeate the work environment, which means which creates or sets the work environment. All of these sociological forces, some of which operate quite subtly, combine to define an organization's culture, beliefs, and practices of the organization. Corporate culture comes from people, from management, from stories within the organization, from ethics policies, from certain conditions, policies, frameworks, right? It's a mixture of a lot of things of how the company wants to operate. Now think about this. Corporate culture comes from the management, how they work. If if let's take an example. Let's just take an example. What do you think? What do you think will be a corporate culture of working in Twitter, which is X, or in a Tesla? What do you think? वहाँ का वर्क कल्चर, वहाँ का कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर कैसा होगा? Companies like Tesla and Twitter, owned by Elon Musk, what do you think will be the work culture or corporate culture like? What it what it would be like working in those companies? What do you think? None of us work there. None of us work there. But what do you think कि वहाँ का corporate culture कैसा होगा? Would you want to work in those companies? What kind of a work culture do you think they will have? And would you want to work in those companies? More formal? Rahul says will be very formal. What about others? What do you think? Rita says it will be very innovative and very dynamic. Okay. Too effective and efficient. Nagaraju. Very strict working pattern atmosphere. I think it will be very westernized. Okay. Strict and disciplined, systematic, long working hours, technology based, very competitive. Okay. Formal environment, less working hours. Okay. Varun says less working hours. मजे आएंगे, फ्री में काम करेंगे वहां पे. Venya says less ethical values. Sneha says highly punctual company or or organizational culture or corporate culture will be there. Structured working. If they're flexible working policies, then you will be happy to join the company. ठीक है प्रियंका, अभी जॉब शुरू नहीं, पहले फ्लेक्सिबल चाहिए. Flexible working policies. I want to enjoy my life. I'm जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा. Okay, cool. Now my question to you is, you have never worked in this company. You do not know this company. You do not know anybody who works in this company. I'm pretty sure you do not know anybody who works in this company, and you do not know how is it is to work in the company, but you still could define their corporate culture as per your understanding. How? How? How did you think कि strict होगा, flexible होगा, long working hours, dynamic, innovative, or less ethical values, or strict environment, or formal environment? How did you think about this? You've never worked there. You haven't talked to anybody who works there. but you still are guessing on the corporate culture. How? Exactly. By knowing Elon Musk, by hearing his interviews, his reels, his videos, his comments, the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he has an attitude, the way he carries himself, that defines the corporate culture in your mind. Ruturaj says, I have no idea, I just made that up. Exactly, but there would be some basis based on the owner and the public image. Absolutely. It is based on the legends the people repeat about happening in the organization. बन गया ना यहाँ से corporate culture. By brand image, by the way people perceive your organization, corporate culture भी वैसा ही बन जाता है. What do you think will be the corporate culture of Reliance? What do you think will be the corporate culture of Reliance Industries? क्या लगता है कैसा होगा corporate culture वहाँ पे? Reliance Industries, what do you think will be the corporate culture like? Priyanka says very genuine. What does very genuine mean? Other companies are fake. Anmol, what is vertical? Corporate culture में vertical कहाँ से है? Vertical की spelling भी गलत है. When it says customer satisfaction is to be focused, that's not part of the corporate culture. Customer satisfaction is a strategy. It's a competitive advantage. It's a corporate strategy. I'm talking about corporate culture. What do you think is the culture of corporate culture of Reliance? How does it feel like working in that company? What is that company driven by? What are their values? How does it feel like working? What kind of a culture? Free flow of thoughts है, authoritative culture है, toxic culture है, innovative culture है, inclusive culture है, कैसा culture है? कैसा लगता है आपको? Prince says it is owned by one family, so they own the company. So their whims and fancies might define the corporate culture. Indian values and culture, daily target achievement based. Okay, Yuvraj says very toxic culture, daily target achievement करनी है. Systematic working, more ethical values. People are highly paid but highly obedient, no freedom, low cost. They arrange many amenities for their employees and manage the working hours. Creative, transformative, okay. Innovative, they always find opportunities. Innovative, very inclusive, free flow, optimistic, innovative, very nice. You guys love Reliance, it seems. Great. So it's good that you guys are really inclined on Reliance, but ठीक है. Depends, and that's how the image is. That's how they have projected their company as. So that's how they are defining their organization that we are futuristic, we are Indian value oriented, we are free flow of thoughts, we are innovative, we are global, we want growth, we want people to achieve their targets, we are target based companies. So this is corporate culture. Yes, it is. You just defined corporate culture yourself based on the news, the community, the traditions of the organization, the supervisory practices, the attitude, the legends, the brand image of the company, all of that just defined corporate culture for you. Okay. Now, the question is corporate culture an ally or an obstacle to strategy execution? What do you think? Is culture an ally or an obstacle to strategy execution? Which means, क्या वो मेरा दोस्त है ally या मेरा दुश्मन है? Okay, you guys have seen that meme, तुम मेरे दुश्मन हो. So culture is either your friend or a dushman or an enemy to strategy execution. The question is, right? It may be both. It may be both, okay? That's what you say, not me. That's what Prince says. Prince कहते हैं, दोनों हो सकता है. Prince is the next diplomat of India. He's the next Jaishankar of India. No straight answers. It may be both. We don't know. Somebody is asking friend है या enemy है क्या पता कुछ भी हो सकता है. Depends on them. How do I know? Depends on the culture, right? Such a diplomatic answer. Mr. Ambani gifted a house to one of his loyal employees worth 1500 crores at his retirement. Rahul, that's how you save taxes, my friend. Okay, great. An organization's culture is either an important contributor or an obstacle to successful strategy execution. Now, okay, Rahul, you were right. I was just joking. But the point is, it may be both, but reason kya hai? Why? Always we want answers in whys and not just yes and no's. So now corporate culture, if, 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 if your corporate culture aligns with your strategy, it's a friend. If your corporate culture does not align with your strategy, then it's big, big, big problem for you. If your company ka culture, if your company's culture is comfort and accuracy, let's say, see, accuracy chahiye. Some company culture, let's say the managers, the leaders, the existing people, everybody wants work to be decimal tak correct hona chahiye. If the numbers are 7328.82, तो 0.82 hona chahiye. It shouldn't be 0.83. The level of accuracy in your corporate culture is massive. As let's say, for example, okay, a company has pagalpan, they're crazy for accuracy. That can be a corporate culture within the organization. But then the strategy is they want to grow very fast. My strategy is growth strategy, and I want to grow very fast. I want to beat my competition, and I want to grow at full speed. I want to introduce new products every 3 months. I want to capture the market. I want to go to different global markets. I want to go to Turkey. I want to go to Poland. I want to start my business in Singapore. I want to start my business in Indonesia. I want to expand my business. I want to introduce new product every 3 months. And my corporate culture is crazy about accuracy. Will my organization be successful? What are your thoughts? It is not about good or bad. That is defined by the people. Okay. Some people like toxicity, some people do not like toxicity, right? That's a personal thing. That's okay. But from a strategic perspective, what do you think? Madness for accuracy combined with speed of execution, of growth, will that match? Absolutely. Venya says you might be perfect, but then you can't grow fast. So your corporate culture does not match with your strategy. When your corporate culture doesn't match with your strategy, this is where the problems start. This is where you start feeling that maybe something is not going right. Why isn't my organization succeeding? I have great strategy. I have identified everything. I've done Mendelow's matrix. I've done SWOT. I've done Pestel. I've done everything possible under the sun. I've got consultants working for me. I've got everybody working. My strategy is fantastic. स्ट्रेटेजिक ग्रुप मैपिंग कर ली है 7S मॉडल बना लिया है मैकेंजी का सब कुछ कर लिया है बट स्टिल माय स्ट्रेटेजी इज फेलिंग आई एम नॉट एबल टू अचीव सक्सेस व्हाई बिकॉज योर कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर इज नॉट अलाइंड to your strategy. Because if your strategy is fast growth, then you will have to leave accuracy. You will only have to focus on speed of work. Then accuracy needs time. Okay, it will need a lot of time. And when people will have focus on accuracy and they have to work at speed, people will be tired. People will feel this is a wrong place to be. I can't work 17, 18 hours to make everything perfect and also release things every 3 months. Cannot happen. Cannot happen. Then it becomes a very workaholic environment, a very toxic environment. People say, yaar, speed bhi chahiye, accuracy bhi chahiye. I can't do that. And then people start leaving. The management crashes. The top management starts leaving. Then the company gets into a different zone altogether. कि we were talking about growth, यहाँ तो डूब गई company just because the culture did not align with the strategy. So your culture is an ally or an obstacle depends on the fact that your culture should have equal alignment to your strategy. Strong culture promotes good strategy execution when there's a fit and impedes execution when there's negligible fit. A culture where frugality and thrift are values strongly, okay, shared by organizational members is a very conducive to successful execution of a low-cost leadership strategy. A culture where creativity, embracing change, and challenging the status quo are pervasive themes, they're very conducive to successful execution of product innovation and technology leadership strategy. That means if the culture of the organization, if the corporate culture is innovation, creativity, embracing change, talking to people, bringing new ideas, then the company will be very innovative. If company wants to be innovative and follows a differentiation strategy, the corporate culture should be about inclusion, decision making together, creativity. It should be about embracing change, challenging the existing things. Then the strategy of differentiation, the strategy of doing something new for the customer will also be successful. Now, if the company's corporate culture is old ways, old processes, no technological development, we don't want to spend money on technology. We don't want to spend money on people. That's the old way of working, and we want to continue. But my strategy is on innovation. I let's say a company says I want to work in artificial intelligence. I want to get into AI. I want to चैट जीपीटी जैसा काम करना है मुझे कुछ ओके फैंटास्टिक ग्रेट स्ट्रैटेजी फ्यूचर ग्रोथ पोटेंशियल हैवी एंड मैक्सिमम ग्रोथ पोटेंशियल ठीक है वेरी गुड but internally you say I don't want to spend money on my people upskilling. I don't want to teach them anything. They should learn themselves. खुद पढ़े भाई उनको नौकरी करनी है वो खुद पढ़े जाके एआई के बारे में मैं क्यों पढ़ाऊं उनको right the corporate culture is dependent on people ki they should do and learn everything. Why will the company teach them anything? Why would I spend money? They want the job, so they will learn themselves. Now, this strategy does not align with the way the management thinks and works. That's your corporate culture. And that is where problems start. That is where the real problems start. Now, corporate culture could be one thing. People are not getting promotions. People are getting 3-4% salary increase only. And you will see top management CEOs and CFOs traveling the world in business class. Now, somebody would say, यार उसका business class का travel was 15 lakh rupees, right? Stayed in a hotel, went to this meeting, did that. मेरी सैलरी बढ़ा देते भाई इतने तो नहीं तो सैलरी भी नहीं है 15 लाख रुपीज जितना उसका 7 डेज का ट्रैवल खर्चा था okay now these kind of things are corporate culture where people feel that we are being neglected then your strategy whatever strategy you make वो सीईओ 15 लाख का ट्रैवल करके whatever strategy they make people will never feel comfortable it's like you're wasting the money you could have just paid us in bonuses and salary hikes you're just wasting that money building strategy we won't execute so the culture in the organization should be such that people feel included people feel part of the organization right so that is what the role of culture in strategy execution is. Okay, very important role, very important role. Perils of strategy cultural conflict. What happens when there's a conflict? Okay, it's just a continuation. You should read the study material as a storybook. That is what I keep telling you. It's a storybook. It's a fantastic storybook. पढ़ते जाओगे मजा आता रहेगा. Okay. A sizable and prolonged strategy culture conflict weakens and may even defeat managerial efforts to make strategy work. If there is a misfit between the strategy and the culture, then either you change your strategy or you change your culture. Changing the culture is really difficult. Changing the strategy is relatively easy. Remember this. Changing the strategy is relatively easy. Okay. Changing the culture is comparatively difficult. However, it is always suggested to change the culture. It's an interesting thing, okay? For an organization, it's easier to change the strategy, but it is recommended to change the culture. आप easy काम करना चाहते हो, you feel that my culture is not going to change. I will have to start from the scratch. People will take 6-7 months to just understand the new things, new way of working. But strategy change कर दो ना, वो तो I can just change today itself. I can just sit in the board meeting because it's a top level management decision making. So we will do that. And we will just take a strategy and this is what we are doing now. Everybody has to do that. That's a simple thing. But the recommended thing is change the culture so that your strategy gets executed in the most successful manner. Okay. Big companies, if you follow news, you would see a lot of companies are undergoing cultural change because of new ways of working, because of the new age of employees like you, right? 18, 19, 20-year old kids. Now you guys are going to be part of the workforce. Think about this. A Ratan Tata doesn't even know what probably you guys aspire to be. What are your areas you're concerned about? Okay. What do you want to do in life? Somebody at the age of 60, a CEO, a 60-year-old CEO doesn't even know completely what the next age of employees want. Like Priyanka was saying, if you give me flexible working hours, I am okay to work. Now, this person who is a 55, 60-year-old CEO, he or she might think that what are these kids talking about? Where is the fire to hard work? Where is the fire to work 12, 13 hours, make a living, set up their houses and everything? Most of us already have a house. Our generation, majority of the people have a house. We don't want to build houses and cars and all of that. We just want to spend money on ourselves. Now, when this mindset changes, the employee comes with a lot of confidence. The employee comes with a lot of freedom. And when you have confidence and freedom, you're not going to listen to the company. You're just going to say, like, I don't want to work here. You people are too authoritative. I want my freedom. Now, when the way of thinking of the next generation of employees is changing, the corporate culture needs to change. So essentially, that is where the recommendation is. People will not change for you. You will have to change for people. So when you have to change for people, that means you means the organization, culture has to change for people. So your culture has to change to align with the people. Okay. That is where it comes from. Creating a strong fit between strategy and culture is important. When you're building a strategy, now, this is when we talk about linkages. We were talking about strategic linkages backward and forward. The backward and forward linkage is this. When you're thinking about strategy making, you are thinking about your culture. Can my culture even uh, probably execute this strategy? Yes or no? You know the answer, and based on that, you create your strategy. Why is it hard to change the culture? Because culture is a thought process, honey. Okay, honey, it's a thought process. It's a way of thinking, and it's very, very difficult to change somebody or influence somebody to change their way of thinking. Now, if I tell Honey कि भाई, if Honey likes to like late के phone use करना, give me a very basic example. You use your phone, you sleep on your bed and you use your phone and you keep on watching reels. And I tell you ऐसे मत करो, आंखें खराब हो जाएंगी, अब मेरे को ज्ञान मत दो. I'm old enough and I know what's right for me. So changing your perspective is very, how do I influence you is a classic problem of human nature, right? Nobody wants to be taught anything. So that is why the culture changing is very difficult. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Everybody wants to do what they feel they want to do. Okay? That's a human nature. इसीलिए culture changing is so hard. Changing a problem culture. Okay? Changing a problem culture is very difficult because of the heavy anchor of deeply held values and habits of the people. Your question coming from there. And people are emotional about their habits. People are emotional about their habits. This is how I have been doing things. Why do you want me to change? I like doing this. This is my comfort zone. Okay. That is why people are very emotional about their habits and ways of thinking, and it becomes difficult to change that. The first step, but how do you do that? We're talking about it's recommended to go and change the strategy. The question is, okay, I will go and change the culture and not the strategy. Okay, I will go and change the culture, but how do I do that? Number one, the first step is to diagnose which facets of the present culture are strategically supportive and which are not. The पहला step है to figure out कि which facets, which areas of my culture, corporate culture, are not supportive of my strategy. Then the managers have to talk openly and forthrightly to all the concerned about those aspects that need to be changed. You have to communicate very clearly and transparently कि भाई ये गलत हो रहा है. This is wrong. You have to go and tell people, even if they're emotional, even if they are too sensitive about things, you just have to clearly go and tell them, boss, this is wrong. We need to change this. Okay. The talk has to be followed swiftly by visible, aggressive actions to modify the culture, actions that everyone will understand are intended to establish new culture more in tune with the strategy. The talk has to be followed swiftly. बहुत जल्दी से you will have to take actions as well. So you tell somebody this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. And from tomorrow you start catching them that see you're doing wrong. You're not allowed to do this now. You have to change the way of doing things. You have to make them accountable, right? Aggressive actions means fast and quicker. Doesn't mean जाके मार पिटाई करो. Doesn't mean जाके डंडा मार दो उनको. Aggressive actions means put- pointing that out, making people realize that they're doing wrong, because otherwise the culture will not change. let's say for example let's say for example, a company's culture is people are presenting fake taxi bills to get more money reimbursements. Okay? And you figure out that people are doing a lot of fake bills. So how do you catch these people? So you tell people very clearly that, boss, listen, there was an audit and we got to know that most of us are like giving fake bills and getting reimbursements, and the culture needs to change. Now, people who were doing that will never agree. They say, "हम तो नहीं करते. I don't do that. Somebody must be doing that. Why are you telling me? Why are you catching me? Why are you saying all of this to me? I don't do this." Right? People might be defensive, but you have to clearly call that out. You have to clearly call that out. Talk openly that गलत हो रहा है. Then you start finding what's happening wrong and you start pointing out. You start rejecting the bills. Now, this aggressive action is to modify the culture is you start rejecting the bills that I feel this is fake, reject. I feel this is fake, not approved, not approved, not approved. You will in this way people will feel shit now अब तो reject होने लग गए पहले सब कुछ accept हो जाता था everything would be accepted now they started rejecting there is a change people are changing the culture is changing they will be apprehensive for the first few weeks they will be very defensive and unhappy about it but slowly and steadily right they will start understanding कि ये this is happening to establish a new culture which is more in tune with the strategy okay it has to be slow and steady and the way of changing the culture has to be revised every now and then you might be thinking "Yeah, this works this doesn't work this way works this way doesn't work it's a trial and error method you might have to keep changing the ways you want to build your culture every single day okay implanting the needed culture building values and behavior depends on a sincere sustained commitment by the CEO the chief executive coupled with extraordinary persistence in reinforcing the culture at every opportunity through both words and deeds. So the top executives should not just do the talking, they should do the walking as well. They should also start doing things what they expect others to do. You want to set a corporate culture where people join the meetings 1 minute before the time, right? You start joining the meeting as the CEO 1 minute before the time. So people will see that CEO aa chuka hai, let's join jaldi some companies are so lazy you will see companies if the meeting is at 3 o'clock people are joining at 3:05 3:07 3:10 people are saying आराम से join करेंगे कोई आया नहीं होगा these are lazy when the corporate culture is lazy non-respective of others time but if you want to change this if you are the head of the meeting or you are the one who is leading the meeting join 1 minute before and tell everybody I have joined please join on time we don't want to waste time people will like ये क्या हो गया चेंज आ रहा है people are changing he's pushing me to join on time अच्छा okay जी ठीक है जी शुरू में they will be apprehensive but then they will start changing so it's not just about the words but also the deeds you have to do the walking and you have to do the talking cool a major cultural change requires many initiatives from many people, right? At all levels. Sub managers, senior managers, top managers, everybody has to put in efforts for the change in the culture. It flows down to every level. So if the CEO joins the meeting 1 minute before, the senior managers join them. When senior managers are having their own internal meeting, they start following what the CEO does then the junior manager who follows the senior manager will start doing what the senior manager does and similarly it will flow down to the organization right so every level in the organization has to happen by initiatives from many people in conclusion an excessive focus on hard management at the best will result in linear improvement in performance. Performance can be improved exponentially by concentrating on soft side of the management. Okay. According to every organization has to maintain a fine balance between the range of hard and soft management, even though a structure is appropriate for the time. Hard and soft. Hard is the organizational structure. So two ways we were talking about the hard part of management of an organization is the organizational structure. What we just talked, matrix, SBU, structure kya hai, culture kya hai. The soft part is the hard part is the organizational structure. The soft part is the culture and the strategic leadership. Hard part, organizational structure like SBU, matrix, divisional, new and old organizational ways of doing things. And the soft part of the management or soft management skills or soft organizational skills are the culture of the organization and the strategic leadership. Our next topic is strategic leadership. We will do this, but after a break of 10 minutes. It's 8:20 right now. Quickly take a 10 minutes break, very small and interesting with good examples, and we'll do that. Let's get back on time at 8:30 a.m. Let's take a break of 10 minutes. All right, everyone, let's be back to our session. Great. So I see a question. Somebody's asking, what's the difference between charisma and neither charisma nor personal magnetism is essential? Page 5.49, last paragraph. Okay. Which is essentially here is what I see, right? Neither charisma nor is essential. What does this mean? Okay, so this is basically, if you have to understand this, you will have to go and read the entire para, which says implanting the needed culture building values and behavior depends on a sincere, sustained commitment by chief executive coupled with extraordinary persistence in reinforcing. Neither charisma nor personal magnetism is essential. However, personally talking to many departmental groups about the reasons for change is essential, which means if you go with the charisma or a personal magnetism, that is not essential. That means it is important, but that will not drive the change. What will drive the change is transparent communication with the people across the organization. Transparent communication with people across the organization is going to basically change the culture for you and not your personal charisma or your personal magnetism. Okay, cool. Now we're talking about strategic leadership. So now let me give you an example. The example to you is, let's say there's one chief executive. She goes to the employees and says, listen, okay, this CEO, she goes to her employees in a town hall, which is like 1,000 people sitting in the auditorium. She goes on the stage and she says, listen, everybody, I really trust in you. I know your talents. We as an organization have done fantastic. Now I need your help. Now I need your help to lead a new project as we grow into a new market. Our company is entering European markets and we are going to face a lot of competition from the European players. Okay. But I trust in you. I believe in you and I know you guys are skillful and we are going to have so many opportunities for so many of you to travel to Europe and work on the projects. It will be a great learning experience, great personal upliftment experience, and great monetary experience and gains for all of us together. And I will ensure you get all of that. All I need from you is a support to to help the organization grow into this new avenue. This is number one leader. The second leader from the competitor. Okay. Now this company is going to European market. This is how the CEO of this company, she's talking to the employees. There is a competitor company which is also going into European markets, which is also entering the European market. And this person, the CEO, he goes on the stage and says, listen, everybody, you guys have been too lazy, but I think it's time we all of us gear up. It's hard competition, it's tough competition. I am not going to take no for an answer. You guys have to go and sell our services to European customers at the best prices. You are going to have massive sales targets, but you will be rewarded equally. But let me tell you, I will not take no for an answer. Which of the two leaders do you think will be more effective? Which of the two leaders do you think will be more effective? The first one or the second one? Nikita says first one. First one, Rito, one more, Kadambari. People are saying first one. हनी says second one. हनी says मुझे तो डांट चाहिए, मुझे डांटो, मुझे मारो, तब मैं काम करूंगा. The first one was more appealing, so the first one. Second, when maybe the second one. First one, as she explains the scope and opportunities for her employees. Okay. Maybe the second one, when it says, I don't know, maybe people might just want to be beaten. Okay, majority people say the first one. Okay, which is fine, which is right. Okay, a leader is best when the people barely know he or she exists, when his work is done, his aim fulfilled, and they will say, we did it ourselves. That's what one of the Chinese guy Lao Tzu used to say, philosopher. Okay, now the point here is in strategic leadership, we have two ways. Okay, we have two types of people. We have transactional leaders and we have transformational leaders. पहले यहाँ जाऊंगा, then I'll go up. I'll go ऊपर also, but I'll start from here because I wanted to give that example. Now, Varun has a point. Varun says depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. Essentially, majority of the time, based on human nature, the first leader will always have better results. The first leader will always have better results in terms of leadership style, will be more successful. But it really depends on the situation. If the company is in a bad shape, okay? Now think about this. Let me give you a condition to the above two people. Okay. Now both the companies, both the people said the same thing. Okay. Both the people remain the same. So essentially what they said, let's say they said the same thing. But the situation is everybody knows that both the company employee knows that the revenues are going down, the profits are going down, a lot of people are leaving the organization and the management is not able to retain the talent. Okay, that is the background. That is the background that the company is going down, profits are low, people are leaving the organization. It's a bad state of the company. Now, which of the two leaders do you think will be more effective? Will this lady who comes on the stage and says, listen, I know all of you, I love all of you, I trust all of you will have opportunities, we are growing into European market, there will be competition and we will have a lot of competition, but I will ensure you get all the opportunities. But the position is, 12 people in her board, see, she's the CEO, but 12 people of her board have already left and she might also leave in the next 3 months. You don't know. She might also just say, नहीं चल रही मेरे से कंपनी में जा रही हूँ. So all that opportunity might also go in vain. That's the kind of environment that the company has. And the same environment is there in the second company. But this person comes on the stage and says, listen, I will not take no for an answer. It's tough time. We all have to work harder, faster, and get all the sales and numbers. Otherwise, we are ruined. We have to do this. This is what you have to do, and you have to do this. Which of the two people now, which of the two leaders now do you think will be more effective? First or the second? First or the second? The condition of both the companies is bad. Which of the two leaders is going to be more successful here? Majority people say now second one. A few people still say transformation, which is the first one. Because the first one is uncertain, the second one is being transparent and telling you, boss, it's bad state, we all got to work on it. Okay. Now, this is where still the first one, because people show an opportunity, they will be optimistic about the changes and work more efficiently. But Ruturaj, what if the CEO leaves in the next 1 month? She is selling you dreams, but what if she leaves herself in 1 month and goes and gets into another company where the opportunities are better? Who is going to? She gave you a comfort that I will ensure that you guys get the best opportunities, and she only left. अपनी better opportunity देख के she is gone. Okay, that's the kind of environment that is there in the company. What would you do? You'll see like, boss, I would rather go with a transactional leader who just tells me what needs to be done so that the company is back on track. Okay. So leadership style is of two styles. One transformational and second is transactional. The first CEO we are talking about, she's a transformational leader. She inspires, she gives you dreams, she has a vision of a higher calling. Dramatic changes of performance is what she's expecting. The study says in poorly performing organizations, when there is a need to inspire a company to embrace major changes, transformational leadership style works. True. But in poorly performing organizations which are tanking, which are going in a very bad state, this might not work. People are not dumb. You cannot sell them dreams of a sinking ship. The ship is sinking and you're selling them dreams that, no, don't worry. The ship is a fantastic ship and it's going to take you in. ये हवा में उड़ जाएगा अभी. ये डूबेगा नहीं, ये हवा में उड़ जाएगा. You're like, are you crazy? What kind of a dream or vision are you selling me? Okay, ये ship में छेद हो गए. The ship has wrecked, right? But don't worry, the ship will fly. We will have wings in the ship. Let us all build wings in the ship and the ship will fly. I'm like, are you crazy? Right? The transformation leadership style works, but when there is a reality, when there is a positive approach, when the environment is favorable, when the environment is not favorable, or when there is a need for execution, when there is a need for real execution on the ground, the transactional leader comes into the picture and they focus more on designing systems and controlling the organization activities, what is to be done, who has to do what. Transactional leaders try to build existing culture and enhance the practices. This style uses authority of office to exchange rewards such as pay and status. They use their authority saying this is to be done by this time. I want this now, or I want this then. Okay. So transactional and transformational. Transformational are very good in companies which are thriving and successful and which are growing. You can inspire a lot of people, get the best talent from the market when you are growing. That's transformational. Okay, such leadership motivates followers to do more than originally affected to do by stretching their abilities. They inspire them, let's go beyond this because you're already growing. You tell them to let's grow farther, let's grow wider. That is what you sell with this leadership style. Okay. Now, if you look at this table here, leadership role in implementation. The strategic leaders must be able to use strategic management processes to effectively guide the company in all areas of development and implementation, right? So leadership is used in IT, organization, management control, reward system, management development, feedback policy, every activity involved within strategic management, every activity involved for getting a strategy executed is done by leadership. So leadership ka role in implementation of the strategy is extremely important. It is extremely important and it cannot be neglected. Okay, that's what this table says in short. Then, if you look at this graph, what this says is effective strategic leadership कब होती है? When is a strategic leadership called effective? Let's look at this. Effective strategic leadership means shapes the formulation, right? The strategic intent, mission, vision statement, the value system. Why do you want to do what you want to do? You influence the people, you influence the decision making. And then you have successful strategic action, which is formulation of the strategy and implementation of the strategy. Finally, what you're able to do is you're able to beat the competition. Strategic competitors above average returns. A company makes above average returns when it is better than the competitors, which means it is the best in the industry. Above average returns of the industry से better margins, better company बनती है, तब जाके we tell that the leadership, strategic leadership is an effective strategic leadership. As simple as that. Okay, ji? Very nice. Strategic control. The next topic for us is strategic control. But before that, let me see if we have any questions. Understand the situation taking up. Just like in Titanic, the owner said the ship cannot sink. Correct? But it sank. A lot of people died. So unless you're close to reality, your transactional leadership will be successful. If you're growing and your reality is success and growth, transformational leadership is going to take you to the next level. Okay. So you need to figure out what kind of leadership is needed in what times. Strategic control. Strategic control is basically ensuring that you're achieving your objectives, you're achieving your goals, you're achieving your long-term mission, and you are on track with your vision. इसको बोलते हैं strategic control. That means you are able to measure your performance. The process of control has the following elements. Objective of the business system, which could be operationalized into measurable and controllable standards. First of all, you need to figure out how do you measure and control the standard way of working, that this is what we expected. Okay. Second is, how do you monitor and measure the performance of the strategy? Number three, a mechanism for comparing the actual results with standards and for detecting deviations from standards and for learning new insights on the standards themselves. First, you figure out what's the standard that I have to maintain. Then how do I measure that standard? Number three, comparing with the standard, finding the reasons for gaps, and if needed, revising the standards upwards or downwards. Okay. A mechanism for feeding back corrective and adaptive information for effective desired changes, set right system to keep it on course. Once you have identified the changes or the gaps, how do you plug those gaps is also part of strategic control. For example, what does this entire four-pointer mean? Okay, this four-pointer means very simple thing. You have a strategy. Okay, you have a strategy, and your strategy is, let's say your strategy is growth strategy. Within growth strategy, you are taking a strategic alliance. Okay, you're saying I'm going to get into a strategic alliance with a different company and enter a different market. So a North Indian food joint wants to enter the West India, the Mumbai, the Maharashtra, the Madhya Pradesh, the Gujarat area, or Rajasthan area for that matter. This company, which works out of Delhi, NCR, Haryana, Punjab, UP, now wants to expand to Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, okay, and Rajasthan. What they want to do is they're taking strategic alliance. वो कह रहे हैं वहां की एक famous restaurant के साथ let's get into a strategic alliance and do business here. So let's say there is a Bikaner wala and they get into a company or a business in this area, which is XYZ business, can be any business. Now, how do they first is figure out how do we measure and control the standards. What are the standards? So they figure out the standards in of making money in these markets is, let's say, Maharashtra, all these four states together, my profit should be around 25%. My net profit should be 25%, and I should grow at about 10% every year. Basic standard hai. How do you figure out standard is that is what is happening with all the businesses in that area. Industry ka standard is 10% growth, 25% net profit. That is the industry standard. You figure that out. How do you monitor and measure your performances? You figure out, how do I measure my performance, my returns, my costing, my growth, my product line? How do I measure my performance? Okay. The number three is, you measure your performance with the standard. Let's say after 1 year of operations, you sit down and you see that, yeah, Mumbai may I made 30% profit and grew by 40%, but Rajasthan may I'm only making 10% profit and I'm growing by just 5%. So maybe it is time to relook at strategy in Rajasthan. Okay. So how do you measure? So number one is, you measure your actuals with the standards. Then you detect deviations like we just did. And then you figure out, learning new insights on the standards. You figure out that, okay, why is Rajasthan not growing, is maybe because my products are more Maharashtra centric. And I'm selling more Maharashtra centric products in Rajasthan, तो वो तो बिकेंगे ही नहीं. I will have to be very specific to that local area. So learning new insights on the standards themselves. Okay, that is controlling. Number four, feeding back corrective adaptive action. So once you figure out, then you bring that change. Next year, when you're analyzing your actuals with your standards, you're doing at a product level. You analyze your business at a product level. You say, this namkeen in four states, each state ka growth. Then you figure out, okay, this particular product or namkeen sells better in Rajasthan and not so good in Mumbai. But Mumbai mein, the second namkeen sells better in Mumbai, not in Rajasthan. But it's compensating the overall growth. The overall growth for me is 10%. Within the products, it's changing. So that is how you change or reinforce your control within the mechanism of strategy. Okay. And this is what chartered accountants do in industry, which is FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis. That's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we do in your job in FP&A and business finance. यही करते हो दोस्त आप. ठीक है. This is called controlling. This is called controlling. Now, there are two kinds of controls essentially, and one more is strategic control. Okay. Two types of broad controls is operational control and management control. Operational control and management control. Operational control is based on processes and operations. The thrust of operational controls is on individual tasks and transactions. For example, procuring specific raw material in inventory is a matter of operational control, in contrast to inventory management as a whole. So operational control is, how is my raw material inventory doing versus industry. So let's say industry may a lot people buy raw material for 3 months, and I am buying raw material for 8 months. So my cost and capital is infusement is very high. And that is why I'm losing out a lot of money and I'm not able to make profits. So that is how you figure out your control, that what's happening in the stand at a particular task level. Particular task level, when you start controlling your business, it's called operational control. Inventory levels, raw material, finished good inventories, payment processes, how many credit days are we giving to the vendors, or how many credit days are we getting from our suppliers. All of that is operational control. Okay, that is what at a task level we control. The process remains the same. This wala, upper 4 points. It's just about the kind of control. Operational is task specific. The second one is management control. When compared with operational control, management control is more inclusive and more aggregative, which means broader hota hai thoda. In the sense of embracing the integrated activities of a complete department, division, or even entire organization, instead of mere narrow circumscribed activities or subunits. Okay. Now, management control can be short range and long range goal achievement of the organization. In 3 years, I want to be 100 crore business in these four states. That's a management control measurable goal that you keep on analyzing every 6 months ki if I'm going in the right direction, but you're also looking at your overall goal of 3 years. Ki ya 3 saal baad my revenue should be 100 crores in these four states in the western part of India. Okay, so you're analyzing in the short range, but you have a broader goal that you're measuring to. You're measuring yourself, you're controlling your strategy based on the overall short term or long term goal. And if you're not able to achieve that, if you see we will not be able to achieve that, you start revising your strategy here. Okay. The third one is strategic control. Strategic control focuses on dual questions of whether one, the strategy is being implemented as planned. Number two, the results are produced strategy are those intended. Very simple. दो चीजों का आंसर कर रहे strategic control, whether strategy is implemented as planned, and number two, the results produced by strategy are those intended. Strategy execution तो आप जो करना चाहते थे, you are doing that. Whatever the kind of strategy you wanted to implement, you're doing that. But are you getting the results that you desired? Maybe yes, maybe no. And that's what you have to keep checking from a strategic control perspective, that I wanted to go to a strategic alliance, a mode of strategy. You did that. You're growing well. Your future looks bright. You're making 100 crores. But was it the real intention? My real intention was I will first build a brand with strategic alliance and exit that strategic alliance after 2 years, 3 years, and do a standalone business, because I don't want to share my profits with the strategic alliance partner. Because once I'm established, then I can manage my business. Are you on track with that intended strategy? That's what strategic control comes under the picture. That your results are fine, your operations are fine, your control is fine. But are you achieving what you wanted to achieve from that strategy? That is strategic control. Implantation and results are being analyzed. That's right. Types of strategic control. How do you analyze strategy and the changes in the environment is basically types of strategic control. How do you ensure that your strategy is going to achieve the results that you want it to? And there are certain types of controls and tools that you can probably see. Number one is premise control. Premise control is basically external environment analysis. A strategy is formed on basis of certain assumptions or premise about the complex and turbulent organizational environment. Premise control is basically keeping a check or monitoring two types of factors in the external environment. Number one, which is environment factors such as the broad ones, economic, technological, social, legal, regulatory, the pestle analysis. The second one is industry factors such as competitive suppliers and substitutes. So essentially, we're talking about micro and macro, both. Premise control is essentially means you have to keep analyzing your external environment, both micro and macro. External environment, micro and macro environment, both you have to keep analyzing for strategic control. If something changes, then your strategy should change. Number two, strategic surveillance. Strategic surveillance means reading news, as simple as that. Strategic surveillance means keeping your eyes and ears open of what is happening in the industry, what trends are changing. How you can do that is it involves casual environment browsing, like reading financial newspapers, watching news, business magazines, attending conferences, meetings, and discussions, and so that you can help in strategic surveillance. It is basic scanning or browsing of the casual environment of the business. Strategic surveillance may be loose form of strategic control, but it is capable of uncovering information relevant to the strategy. The third one is special alert control. Special alert control is when something unexpected event happens in the environment. At times, an unexpected event may force organization to reconsider the strategy. कुछ हो गया, COVID हो गया, government change हो गई, नया law आ गया, some foreign mishappening happens, some war happens. All of this is special alert control. When unexpected events may force organizations to reconsider their strategy, then people might want to use special alert control for a strategy. Okay. The next one is implementation control. Okay. Managers implement strategy by converting major plans into concrete sequential actions. Implementation control is basically where you figure out Implementation not a replacement to operational, first of all. Implementation is not a replacement to operational. It is more about sequential actions which improve the execution every single day. Okay, how do you improve from the previous day? How do you improve your execution every single day is implementation control. Okay, it is called implementation control because you're controlling how you implement your strategy. Okay, the two basic forms of implementation control, just give me 1 second. All right, so strategy implementation control is not a replacement to operational control. Unlike operational control, it continuously monitors the basic direction of what is happening in the strategy. Now, two basic forms of implementation are monitoring strategic thrust and milestone reviews. Okay. Monitoring strategic thrust means whenever something happens in the environment, something mishappening or something eventful happens, what do you do? How do you monitor and start implementing on that? That's called monitoring strategic thrust, which helps the strategist or the business people to ensure that the overall strategy is going in the right direction. Your implementation is happening. Something happens which takes away your implementation, which derails your implementation. Okay. And your entire strategy is progressing in the right direction or not, that becomes questionable. That is where you have to figure out that your implementation should match with the changes in the environment. Number two is milestone reviews. So implementation control is every 3 months, every month, every 6 months, you go and check whether you're meeting your results or not. You have milestones. After 3 months, I will be here. After 9 months, I will be here. After 20 months, I will be here. After 30 months, I will be here. So you have milestones in your head of where the organization will be, and you are trying to control those. You're trying to figure out that this is I've achieved. That is how you control your strategy so that you know मैं कहाँ जा रहा हूँ और मैं सही जा रहा हूँ या नहीं. The entire concept of strategy control is ensuring you are achieving your strategy every single day. That's as simple as that. Okay, cool. Path says strategic surveillance is also somewhat important because news articles sometimes post wrong news and mention it as per reports sources, and thereafter management has to come and media disclose what is the truth. So multiple sources, Path, you're right. So it's not just you have to rely on the news. Do your research, talk to people, figure out what is right, what is wrong, form an opinion, and then take a decision. Okay. Now, strategy formulation, right, and strategy implementation. What we have done here is your strategic surveillance and premise control keeps happening from formulation, but your implementation special alert control happened during implementation. Why is this chart important? Is we are saying strategic surveillance and premise control even happen during this formulation stage of strategy, while your special alert control and implementation control only happen during implementation stage of strategy. Okay, formulation के time premise and strategic surveillance चल रहा होता है, but during implementation you have two controls, which is implementation control and special alert control, while strategic surveillance and premise control continue to happen. Okay, great. We have reached our last topic of the syllabus, which is strategic performance measures, SPM. Okay. A new concept for most of the people and a new concept in the syllabus. A lot of questions will come from this. So let us understand what we really mean by strategic performance measures. Okay. A company's performance depends on the execution of the strategy. Strategic performance measures are key indicators that the organizations use to track the effectiveness of their strategies and make informed decision about resource allocation. Underline. The measures provide a snapshot of organization's performance, enabling leaders to assess whether their strategy performance. Okay. Firstly, there needs to be a clear cause and effect relationship between the indicator and strategic outcome. Secondly, KPIs need to be carefully chosen because they will influence the behavior of people within the organization. Underline, highlight, star. KPIs need to be carefully chosen because they will influence the behavior of people within the organization. If KPI, key performance indicator, KPI, key performance indicator of a person is sales target, people will chase sales. If key performance indicator of the people is profit maximization, people will chase profit. If key performance indicator of people is the more you travel, the better for the company, people will travel more. Whatever is their KPI, people will do that to achieve their targets. So you have to be very careful about what targets are you giving people. Okay. If I give you a target that you have to study 15 hours. Okay. Now let's say if your KPI is I have to sit for 15 hours to study, you might not pass the examinations. Why? Because your KPI is not studying, it is just sitting for 15 hours. If I tell your KPI is solve 100 questions daily, I'm not concerned about the hours. 5 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, you decide. But my KPI to you is you have to do 100 questions every single day. You will clear the examinations. 100% you will clear the examinations. Why? Because you have to carefully decide your key performance indicator. How will you measure your performance is very carefully designed. Same thing happens with us, right? I want to study for 10 hours. Okay. I want to complete this chapter today. You will complete the chapter. I want to study 10 hours today. You will never complete the chapter. So you have to be very careful when you create KPIs for people. Okay, nice. Managing the political aspect of implementing a strategy. Too many people in the organization, a lot of people will have logic. How will you do that? When these two techniques conflict, which is logic and political views, what will happen is the politically acceptable aspects may end up in the explicit strategy while the sensitive elements may form an unspoken plan that contains the implicit strategy. That means logic and politics both will go hand in hand when you're implementing a strategy. Okay. Politics, that means people's decisions, authority will go hand in hand with, with, with what? With the soft skills, what the logic, rationale of the people. ठीक है जी? Very nice. Types of strategic performance measures. MFAC. भैया आना ही आना है ये तो एग्जाम में. Star, underline, save the page, whatever you want to do. Types of strategic performance measures are as follows. Number one, financial measures like return on investment, revenue growth, profit margins, provide an understanding of organization's financial performance. Then second is CSMs, which is customer satisfaction measures. That means such as customer satisfaction rating. Out of 10, how much rating will you give our product? आता है ना रेटिंग करने के लिए. Customer retention, how many people are repeating sales? Customer loyalty, how many people are only buy my product, my brand? These provide insights into organization's ability to meet the customer's needs and provide high quality products. These are some strategic performance measures from a customer satisfaction measure. Market measurement कैसे करते हो? What are the strategic performance measures from measuring the market? So such as your market share, the customer acquisition, how many new customers are you acquiring every month, every year? The customer referrals, how many people are referring to their friends? Provide information about organization's competitiveness, how much better are you than the competition? वो market measures बताते हैं. Employee measurement, like employee satisfaction, turnover rate, employee engagement, provide insights into how happy the employees are. Innovation measures, that means the such as R&D spending, how much money are you spending on research and development? Patent applications, how many patent applications is your company filing every year? That gives you a measure of, okay, so this is how I am innovating, how better I am, okay, or how good I am. Environmental measures like such as energy consumption, waste reduction, carbon emissions, these provide insights how environmental friendly you are, right? What is your waste reduction policy? Recycling कितना करते हो? Waste कितना निकालते हो? आपका energy consumption क्या है? Are you sustainable or not? Those kind of measures are environmental measures for SPM, strategic performance measures, financial, customer, market, employee, innovation, environmental. ठीक है जी. Now, development of management thought and practice has persistently pushed the frontier of strategic performance beyond financial metrics, which now includes triple bottom line framework. TBL बोलते हैं जिसको. It emphasizes on people, planetary concerns besides profitability. So triple bottom line is profit, people, planet. When a company is measuring its success, it will be measured on its profit, it will be measured on its people happiness and people satisfaction, and its environmental or planetary concerns, how sustainable, how energy consumption is, waste pollution to nahi karti hai company. There are three major metrics that have been added for measurement. The fourth P that has been added very recently is purpose. The four, we the first one was single bottom line, then came triple bottom line. Now the new concept is quadruple bottom line, which adds another P to the measurement of a success of a business, which is purpose. Why are you doing this business, right? You will now see a lot of companies focusing on their purpose. Some companies will say we want to save lives. Like pharma companies will say we want to save lives. Coca-Cola says I want to bring happiness to people, open happiness. पर्पस क्या है? लोगों के घर में जो भी सेलिब्रेशन है उनको खुशी देना is my company's purpose, right? So you have to add a purpose so that that drives your business. That at the end of the day, why is a customer using my product? What is that brings to that customer? My product brings what to that customer? Satisfaction, happiness, brings health, brings life, brings money. What does it bring to them? That's your purpose. Okay. So quadruple bottom line is the new concept. Profit, people, planet, purpose. Four things. Okay. That's the diagram. People, planet, profit. Now the center of things is purpose. You also need to have a purpose of doing your business. Your purpose cannot be just about making money. Your purpose has to be beyond making money. The importance of strategic performance measures. Why are they important? Number one, goal alignment. It helps you to achieve your goals and overall strategy. Resource allocation. It helps you identify where do you need to allocate resources. So your market share is low, you allocate resources in marketing. Your people are unhappy, employees are not satisfied, you give them bonuses. You spend money on bonuses and giving them better hikes or whatever they want, right? If you see my R&D spend is less, you allocate your resources to more innovation. So resource allocation may help karta hai strategic performance measures, because you figure out which of the things is lagging. Is it finances? Is it people? Is it environment, which is R&D? It is a market. What am I lagging behind in? You allocate your resources there. Number three, continuous improvement. Because you know what's happening, what you're able to measure your strategic results, you're able to continuously improve. Number four, external accountability. Now, somebody who wants to analyze your business like a bank, like an investor, they will come and ask you all these things. What is your net profit? What is your ROI? What is your profit margin? Revenue growth कितना है? Customer satisfaction index क्या है? What is your market share? What are the customer referrals? How many new customers are you acquiring? Are the employees happy? What's the employee engagement that you're doing? How much are you spending on the innovation? Are you even environmental friendly? All of these questions are asked by investors and banks and all these authorities. So it creates, if you're measuring all of that, it creates an external accountability that this company knows what they're doing. They're measuring themselves on these performance indicators, on these performance measures, and it's easier for them to analyze and work with you. So it really helps in external accountability building, strategic performance measures. Okay. Now, the question comes, how do I choose my performance measures? How do I figure out which strategic performance measures are suitable to me? Okay. Essentially, all, but limited by the following factors. Essentially, all the strategic performance measures are important, limited by these four factors. Number one is relevance. Number two, data availability. Number three, data quality. Number four, data timeliness. Number one is relevance, that some of the times, some of the things are not even relevant to you, right? For example, for a CA firm, waste management might not be a measure. It's not even relevant. Okay. How much waste does a CA firm produce? Not relevant. Okay. So you might just not want to measure yourself on कि मैं कूड़ा कितना करता हूँ. Okay. Now, companies which are manufacturing huge products like cars and clothes and cosmetics, they might want to see how much waste are we producing and how are we recycling that. But service based industries might not just be, it might not be relevant for them to see how much waste are we doing, so that might not be an SPM for them. Okay. Data availability, you might want to see a lot of measures about your market share and market standing and all of that, but if the data is not available, okay, then you might not be able to do this. So it's very basic. Data availability can hamper your strategic performance measurement. Okay. The quality, even if the data is available, the data quality is very poor. There might be mistakes. The data is not clear. It is erroneous. Numbers galat hai. The numbers don't make sense. All of that is data quality. So data quality can be very poor, and then it creates a problem for you to measure your performance. Number four is data timeliness. Even if the data is available, even if the quality is good, you're getting the data 3 months after you ask for it, because people will have to go and collate the data, build the data, figure out, give you an analysis, then you go and discuss. It's already historical data. Futuristic data नहीं मिल रहा है आपको, historical data मिल रहा है. You're not able to get insights about the future measures. Four things: relevance, data availability, data quality, and data timeliness. Hamper or other factors to be considered when you're choosing your strategic performance measures. Big, big exam question. What are the factors to consider while choosing strategic performance measures for your organization? Relevance, data availability, data quality, data timeliness. With that, your chapter number 5 and your syllabus is complete. Your strategic management syllabus is complete. All 5 chapters. Okay. What we do tomorrow is practice, 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 and practice. I will bring case scenarios. I will bring MCQs. We will do back of the study material questions from chapter 5, and we will do 1 hour of study material marathon where we go through the entire study material and revise that tomorrow. Okay. Questions practice karenge 1.5 hours. 1 hour we will do full revision of the chapter so that you go confident. At least you see through the study material with me is what my idea is. Even if you won't study from study material, I've been shouting, but at least then you will be able to see what's there in the study material. Go ahead, Sonal. Ask your question. You have to ask conversion related doubts. Go ahead. Tell me. I'm here for the next 10 minutes to take up any questions, any doubts that you have. Use this time to ask as many questions as you can. Jay, you want me to do the previous question paper? We can do that for sure. Thanks, Rahul, for joining. Ask your questions, ask your doubts. 10 minutes full. Let's spend figuring out if you have any doubts. If you do not have doubts, I'll see you tomorrow, right? The class is over for you. We'll see you tomorrow with practice. Too many questions for practice and a marathon of revision. And if you have any doubts and questions, I'm here. Very nice. Rahul, the answer for you is खुद खाओ खुद जान जाओ. Shashankaran, what I'll do is I'll share the MCQs are what we do tomorrow. I'll share that for sure. But otherwise, you have too many questions at the back of the study material. Case study booklet will be uploaded very soon. So you will have a lot of cases there. I've prepared that for you guys. So you will see a lot of case scenarios there that will be uploaded very soon. डिफरेंस बिटवीन वर्टिकल एंड हॉरिजॉन्टल कम्युनिकेशन देवराज वर्टिकल इज आप अपने बॉस से बात कर रहे हो वर्टिकल है आप अपने कलीग से बात कर रहे हो दैट इज हॉरिजॉन्टल ओके आजकल कलीग से दोस्तों से आसपास के लोगों से बात करने का ज्यादा कल्चर है इज व्हाट दिस मींस हॉरिजॉन्टल कम्युनिकेशन इज मोर रेलेवेंट दैन वर्टिकल थैंक्स दिव्या टू मेनी इमोजीज गुड टू सी दैट while studying study material, all topics be like hodgepodge. Yeah. That's the magic of study material. But you have my recorded sessions. You can watch at 2x and you can complete this very quickly. While converting foundation mark sheet is not being showing, what do you, there are only signatures and photo to upload. While you're converting foundation, converting means what? What are you trying to do? Sonal? Converting means converting foundation mark sheet is not showing what to do where there are only signatures and photo to upload. Converting means what? Like converting what? वहां से 1 घंटा मैराथन करेंगे. अनमोल क्वेश्चन क्या है? व्हाट टू डू? स्टडी विद कंसंट्रेशन. लॉ से तो इजी है ऑडिट से भी इजी है. तो अगर ऑडिट और लॉ कर सकते हो तो स्टैटिक मैनेजमेंट भी कर सकते हो. Jyoti, you got to remember the concepts, practice. The more you practice the questions, read behind the book, behind the chapter questions, everything will be clear. I know when you read this, it will be very confusing. When I talk, it becomes really simple because listening is much better than reading. Okay. But practicing the questions will concrete your concepts. While establishing goal and objectives of a firm, the management does an environment analysis, but after that, they also do SWOT analysis. Won't this be duplication of work? Not really, Rito. So, a lot of things happen simultaneously. When a business is doing environmental analysis, essentially they are doing SWOT analysis. So it's not duplication of efforts, but they use the same information to do SWOT analysis. So फिर से environmental analysis करने नहीं जाएंगे. So they will use that information to do SWOT analysis. So it saves a lot of time essentially. Is it enough we understand the concept clearly to crack the subject? No, you have to practice questions. I keep telling you, exam questions करना बहुत जरूरी है. We'll have to do a lot of exam questions. Will I take other subjects also? I wish, but no, I'm just taking strategic management. Absolutely, Divya. I wish to see all of you in CA final. And hopefully by then I am teaching CA final also. So I hope, fingers crossed, I see you in CA finals. Your ITT training is complete, so I have mentioned that as the option given. Oh, okay, Sonal. So if you have any technical problem, probably you will have to reach out to your local office, ICAI or e-Sahayata portal, right? If there's a technical problem, I would suggest go and visit your local branch if you live nearby or if it's in your city. Otherwise, e-Sahayata portal, it's fantastic. It works. They answer, they help, or call up the landline number they have in the local office. They will help. और हमें चैप्टर 5 हमने स्टडी मटेरियल से किया है. मैं जानबूझ के I've done this with study material because I know you guys are not studying the study material. इसीलिए I made sure I do the study material with you guys. Is there any study material available in simple English? इससे भी simple English क्या होगी? The chapter on strategic implementation and evaluation provides a comprehensive overview of the process and factors involved in executing and assessing the effectiveness of organizational strategies. इससे simple English क्या होगी? Once upon a time, there was a village and people in the strategic implementation were fishing there. इतनी simple English चाहिए. This is the this is the easiest English ever for a study material. You go and study ACCA, you go and study CPA Australia, CPA Canada. आंखें बाहर आ जाएंगी इतनी टफ होगी इनकी इंग्लिश. This is so basic. I really don't like the English of the study material because I think you guys can do much better. Essentially, we should. Is there okay? You have a backlog of video, and so how to complete my backlog with study YouTube 2x पे video देख ले दोस्त. Is SPM viable for small companies? Absolutely yes, for everybody. It's viable irrespective of the size. Thanks, Nisha. I'm happy you like the classes. Why are hard and soft divided in organization? Any logic? Absolutely. Hard is organizational structure. Soft is your culture and way of doing things. Strategic leadership and culture is soft because it is emotional, it is psychological, it is philosophical. While hard part of the organization is the organizational structure, SBU, matrix, वो hardcore structure है. इसलिए hard and soft are divided. Conversion into new scheme that will happen if there is a technical glitch like you're saying, Sonal. E-Sahayata or the local office, that's that. Thanks, Jyoti. I'm happy you like the answer. Okay. Having performed both, couldn't be attending class. Okay. Okay, now you're reviewing same side by side attending live classes as well as strategy and you complete up to 3 chapters. Awesome. I think Sankaran, that would be great. Practicing is going to change the entire perspective from an exam perspective. You're doing your articleship now and how to manage study with articleship mornings and evenings, my friend. ये तो CA का मजा है. You wake up at 5 a.m., you sleep at 3 a.m., you're working the full day in articleship, you are sitting with your friends on chai ki tapri, ranting about subjects and teachers while studying. That's the fun of the next 2.5, 3 years. A simple English means WhatsApp language. WhatsApp language means you will have flowers and a namaste saying good morning everybody. ठीक है जी. In that strategic management model, Fred or David, can the management change the strategy whenever in the process, or they can only change after the strategic evaluation and control? Depends, Rito. Essentially, we should go by steps. But if there is a need, right? If we're doing a turnaround strategy, we have emergency plan. Okay, emergency turnaround plan. Then in that process, they can change within the steps as well. You do not have to follow the steps if there is an emergency situation, but essentially we will follow the steps that after evaluation and control, you go back and change. Okay. If you want to ask your doubts or problems you'll face while revising, how do you reach? You can ask your questions at virtualclasses@icai.org. Right? You can do that. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'm really active there. Go build your network there. I keep telling you, fantastic website for professionals. Yes, Rahul, I am. Priyanka, I'm going to miss you guys as well. My weekend mornings were fantastic, talking for 150 minutes non-stop. Thanks, Ray. I'm happy you like the classes. Will you provide pattern of what type of questions in question paper will be tomorrow, Sham? Let's see a question paper tomorrow. Okay? Let's see a question paper tomorrow and we'll do that. Virtual classes at ICAI.org. That's the email ID where you can send your questions. That will be directed to me for strategic management. So I'll try and answer that as many as possible. Cool. Yeah, you can enroll. That's not an issue. I'm active there. What strategy suggests for a senior student of what? Senior student of question mark. Okay, let's take up this last have to tell me the full question. What strategy you suggest for senior student of what? Senior student of what? Virtual classes at icai.org. साहू साहब is not writing his question. कोई बात नहीं, कल solve कर देंगे Mr. Sahu's question also. Cool. With that, let's wrap up for today. Your syllabus is complete. Tomorrow's going to be a marathon. Tomorrow's going to be a practice session, 2.5 hours of practice and marathon and questions. I will ask random tough questions from the entire syllabus, so be ready. You might not see a PPT or thing, but I will ask tough questions. So let's practice that. I will ensure you guys are not able to answer the questions tomorrow so that they become an eye opener. Cool. With that, let's meet you tomorrow, same time, 7 a.m. as our last class is tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care. Bye. Thank you, Akashi. Thank you so much. Thank you.